Boy, oh boy, this is going to be a hard one. You know, there's Bible verses that people don't want to talk about, but that's what we're going to talk about because that's what's important to talk about the whole Scripture, not just what's easy to be talked about. In 1 Corinthians chapter 5, we'll start at verse 9. It says, I wrote to you in my letter not to associate with sexually immoral people, not at all meaning the sexually immoral of this world, or the greedy, or the swindler, or idolater, since then you would need to go out of the world. But now I'm writing to you not to associate with anyone who bears the name of brother, if he is guilty of sexual immorality or greed, or is an idolater, reviler, drunkard, or swindler, not even to eat with such a one. For what have I to do to judge outsiders? It is not those inside the church whom you are to judge. God judges those outside. Purge the evil person among you. This is in the New Testament, and it's a teaching that is very much not practiced today, but it's a biblical teaching. A teaching of not associating with a brother who's living in deep sin, bad, terrible, sinful lifestyle. He says not to judge those outside. So we don't judge those outside the church because they're not Christian. God will judge them on the day of judgment. What we are to do is to the people who say that they're a Christian, who have been baptized and say they're a Christian, we're not to associate with them or even eat with them. If they're a drunk, if they're sexually immoral, that can do stuff like adultery, fornication, which is sex outside of marriage, if it's a lifestyle. And if they're unrepentant of these sins, if they're a reviler, if they like to argue all the time, if they're drunks, they're swindlers, we're not even to eat with such a person. This doesn't mean that you shun them like the Amish would shun. You could still have cordial conversations with them, but you don't hang out with them. You don't go and hang out and be around them and socialize with them. You can be kind to them, but you don't socialize with them. This is a biblical teaching, hard to understand, hard to accept, but it's the truth. If somebody claims to be a Christian and they're baptized, and if they're living in a sinful lifestyle, we're not supposed to associate with them or socialize with them. That don't mean again that we're not nice to them. We're not cordial. And we don't speak to them. We can speak to them and say hi, especially if they're in your household. But we are not to associate with them. But with the sinner, we're to reprove them and purge, as it says, purge the evil person from among you.